Thank you, Sarah. A good mix of people in here, a good mix of stances on AI and feelings about AI. So that's great. Hopefully, maybe we should repeat those questions at the end of the session to see, if anything changed. But what we are talking about today is the faculty AI literacy competency framework, and that word competency is really important. And we will tell you why. Jamie's going to talk about that. But why this framework exists, like why did we create this, is because we know that AI is already influencing how students are learning, how they're completing work, how they're seeking feedback, what they are doing with it. It's out there, it's in here, everybody's using it. And what faculty want is students want this too, and our student framework kind of addresses that issue, also staff for productivity. But faculty specifically need a shared structure that can help them sort of make clear decisions about AI use in courses or even within courses, use one assignment, not the other. Support student skill development. So having a shared structure that can help them support the student skill development within their course using those tools that are out there, because students are going to need them when they go in the workplace. And then maintain academic integrity and faculty authority. So without saying you can't use this at all, faculty need a framework that allows them to be able to figure out how you can, like somebody said in here, that I allow it, but AI citations are a must, or they must use my prompts, or I instruct them on how to do so. So to allow the usage, but then also maintaining academic integrity and your authority in the classroom. And then finally, to be able to align with institutional policy and guardrails. And, TBR came out with an AI policy, like an overarching AI policy, which had a little blurb about faculty use in the classroom, which kind of gave authority to the faculty on, they can decide. Well, that's very broad. Decide to do what? Decide yes, no, maybe, not at all, yes, gung ho. So the framework sort of allows faculty to sort of take all that together and figure out what's the best approach for them in their class. If you go to the next slide. We want to clarify that what the framework is in any of our frameworks, basically, but specifically the faculty framework, what it is and what it is not. So let's start with the positives, right? What it is that it will support instructional decision making. It describes observable teaching practices, not just theoretical concepts, but actual practices, because it's a literacy competency framework. It will help faculty determine when AI will help learning and when it should be limited. And it would provide a progression from beginner to advanced. And so for each competency within the framework, there's a level of practice that the faculty can start by, which is a beginner level, then intermediate and advanced. And so Jamie will talk in detail about that kind of stuff. So the key points takeaways are that the framework focuses on teaching practice and is not about technical expertise. Our frameworks are tool agnostic, and so you could use any tool, AI tool, and it shouldn't matter. So what it focuses on is your teaching practice in your classroom, and it is very much practice centered. It is not just concept centered. It is not theoretical, which are a lot of frameworks out there are like that. But our framework sort of is more practice centered, competency based, and it's not just concept centered. What the framework is not is that what we are trying to tell you is that framework is not meant to sort of tell you that this is a mandate for using AI, because several of you say, I don't allow it, and I'm sure you have reasons for that. And so while we do encourage the use of it, just even in terms of trying to think it from the student point of view, that when they pass out, when they graduate in 5 years, every job is going to have some sort of AI tool usage in that job. And so to think from that lens, but there may be an assignment where you definitely don't want them to use AI. So that's fine. The framework is not saying it's mandatory to use AI. It is not a required checklist. So for example, if you check off everything off the list, that's not what this is for. It is definitely not a tool or technology adoption plan. And it's 100% not a replacement for faculty judgment. Faculty judgment and humans in the loop are essential. In fact, that is what ensures that this is not something that is prescriptive. It is something that helps you and is not going to overtake or mandate anything for you. So just wanted to clarify that on the outset. And now Jamie is going to talk about the faculty AI literacy competency framework and the components of it.
Thank you, Pari. Sarah, if you'll advance the slide. So the framework, we're going to take a look at it in just a moment, but this is actually just a screenshot. There we go. A screenshot of part of that framework, but just a little bit about the framework that Pari has mentioned. This framework, just like our student framework, is based on the Department of Labor competency framework. So that's why you'll see it's very action oriented, very application based. And Pari mentioned that it's not a theoretical framework. If you look at UNESCO and EDUCAUSE frameworks, which is also informing our frameworks, they are very much in the place of theory and concepts. And we wanted to make sure that we took that information and it informed our work, but we want to give you ways that you can focus on to implement AI in your course. So when you look at the framework, it's going to give you many ideas of how AI can show up in your coursework. These, each of our frameworks have a set of domains. And so each one has a set of 5 domains. And some of them are consistent across our stakeholder groups, student, faculty, staff, and they vary a little bit at it also. We'll take a look at that and how that works. But the 5 domains for the faculty framework are AI fundamentals. Here's one to remember. We are not trying to make AI experts out of you. We are not saying that you need to be an AI expert when you are introducing AI in your course. You will hear us say this over and over. We are focusing on fundamentals here. And so these frameworks are designed, again, to cross-discipline, to cross-skill level, to cross grade level, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, if you're 4-year, graduate even. So they're at the foundational level, and that follows the Department of Labor competency framework. So again, it's competencies that every student should know regardless of discipline. It's competencies that faculty should master regardless of discipline. It's competencies that staff should master in productivity regardless of job role. So again, they're not prescriptive to any particular academic area or job function. They just go across roles. So AI fundamentals. We've got ethics and responsible use. That's a big important one there, right? So we're looking at academic integrity, transparency. We talk about that a lot in this group. If you don't allow AI, be transparent about why you're not allowing it. If you have one of the AI on some assessments and assignments and not on others, be transparent about it so students know exactly what's happening. If you are using AI to generate your course content, it is strongly encouraged that you are transparent about that. Because if you are a faculty member that's saying, you know, you can't use AI in this course, and then there you got a student that's saying, okay, but you're using it to generate course content. We've seen out there in practice that has caused some issues. So just transparency is a very good thing with your students. Critical evaluation. Quality, accuracy, bias, reliability, very important, right? So we know that these AI frontier models are scraping the web, and there's lots of information out on the web that's not exactly accurate and valid. And so bear that in mind. So critical evaluation is a really important tool and muscle to use in this environment. Strategic instructional use, intentional integration within assignments, learning activities, assessments, and course design. So you're really intentionally thinking about, is this assignment really going to be served by AI implementation, or is it not? And so thinking about how that will work out in your course. Professional development and leadership. This is really important for faculty too. How can I use AI tools to help me develop skills, knowledge, abilities beyond the introductory level? And so we do a lot of that in this group. We come across many professional development activities, and we will build on those through using the AI tools. Next slide, please. So those are our 5 domains we're focusing on. So this is a graphic that's on the website. We'll show you that in just a moment. And it's just a quick way for you to consume the different domains in our various models. You're going to see that across student, faculty, and staff, AI fundamentals is consistent, ethics and responsible use is consistent, critical evaluation is consistent. Then it starts to change a little bit. So on the student side, now think about the student framework. Student can use the framework to inform their learning. Faculty can also use that framework to design course learning assessments and assignments. And so strategic use is an important competency skill set for students to have. How about workforce alignment? How about students learning about what are the AI tools being used in my career path? So it's really important there. How can I use AI tools to interview for a job? How can I use AI tools to find jobs? So under faculty, you'll see workforce alignment and professional development. And we mentioned those earlier. So those are a little different than what you see in student and in staff. Under staff, you got strategic productivity and professional development and career. So a little variation there on the bottom. Now, here's one really important thing about these frameworks. They are not meant to be used in isolation. So if you are a faculty member, go to the student framework. It's going to have different competencies there for you to pick and choose from to see examples of how AI can show up in your course. If you are a faculty member and you are interested in productivity and efficiency, that staff framework has competencies that are designed for productivity and efficiency. Students can use the staff to learn competencies for productivity and efficiency. And very much if staff wants to learn how to do different things within kind of an academic mindset, they can venture over to the other frameworks. So they are meant to be used together, not simply in isolation. Next slide, please. So once we get to the framework, you're going to see competency statements. So let's take a look at the screen in front of us right now. So we'll see that that competency domain sits up there in the upper left corner. And again, you'll have 5 different areas of that. And this is AI fundamentals. Sarah, can you back? Thank you. And then it's got a definition of what this domain is speaking to. So foundations, we kind of get that in our mind. We're at the basic levels. Then we've got competency statements. You're going to notice that these competency statements all begin with an observable verb. That's really important. Think about this. As a faculty member, when you put in a learning objectives that says students will understand, how do you measure that? How can you see that learning actually happening, right? So all of our competency statements begin with measurable verbs. For the student one, they're measurable and observable. These are actually observable as well, but for faculty, we just use the term measurable. Then you're going to see levels of applied use of performance indicators. Now, this is also a little different for faculty. Sarah, would you jump on to the next slide and we'll get down into this level. So these levels of applied use or performance indicators for you, the faculty, they are representative of levels of instructional maturity. So let me briefly explain that. So if I'm a faculty member and I'm stepping into implementing AI for the first time, then I'm probably going to be at the lower level of these applied uses at the beginning level. So that's how you look here and say, what are some things that I can step into the course and introduce AI by doing? And as you mature through your skill level and your confidence level, you'll move along that progression to intermediate and advanced. So it's a little different for faculty when you're looking at this. You're looking at where am I in my learning and comfort and implementation. In contrast, when you're looking at the student framework, just briefly, you'll see the same levels of performance indicator, beginning, intermediate, and advanced. Those are for you, the faculty member, to observe the student as they are demonstrating their learning. And if you'll remember in that framework, we have tied in the Bloom's keywords, the assessment keywords or Q words for you, that you'll know what you need to do within an assessment to hit a particular performance level. Okay, so it's a little different. So on this one, you're looking at where am I in my instructional level. On the student one, you're looking at where's the student in their learning level. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is just a brief look at what the framework looks like. Sarah, if you will give me control, I'm going to jump over to the website and we'll take a look at what's here. Okay, everyone see my screen okay?
Yep.
Okay, great. So this is on our Bridging Minds and Machine comprehensive learning website. If you've not been there, make sure that you take a look at it. We'll give you the link to it. We have all kinds of resources on here for you. But once you get there, you'll see on the navigation bar a link to the TBR AI Literacy Competency Frameworks. And so when you get to this page, you're going to see some description of what's here and how it came to be. What's our architecture that we're following? There's the graphic that we looked at earlier with some description of it. The Student AI Literacy Framework is here for you to download, and the Faculty AI Literacy Framework as well. Staff is below. One more thing before we jump into that framework. We have put a template activity for you that you can simply copy this off, take it, modify it, make it your own. So it's going to have domains. It's going to help you craft your competency statement, your performance indicator, and then you'll be ready to roll with the sample activity. If you're in the chat and you said, I've not started or I'm thinking, remember, start small. It's up to you, right? You're going to phase it in with your students. So start with one small, low stakes activity. There is a completed one here for you to take a look at as an example. Okay, I'm going to come back up. So I'm going to click on the Competency Faculty Framework and it's going to pop open. And it talks a lot about how it came to be, again, that we've leaned on EDUCAUSE, we've leaned on UNESCO, and we have links at the bottom of this framework for you to be able to access those resources that we used in the formation of our framework. It's going to talk about, as what Sarah and Pari have touched on, of what the framework is and what it is not. Remember that this framework, again, and is an applied framework. It's very unique when you compare it to other frameworks that you'll see out on the AI landscape. So then I'm going to come down and it's going to talk about how to read the framework layout. And then we're going to take a brief look at it. So this is an AI fundamentals bucket. This is a domain, and I'm going to see my competency statement. So here what we're looking at, this is fundamentals, again, foundations. Explain what AI is and how it applies to teaching and learning context. Again, there's your levels of maturity in your instruction. Differentiate between AI-supported instructional tasks and decisions that require faculty academic authority. Differentiate between learning tasks that may require AI support and those requiring independent student skill demonstration. Explain how prompts, context, and data influence AI output. Identify discipline-specific uses of AI relevant to course content. Recognize limitations and risk associated with AI use in academic settings. And so that's a very foundational set of competencies that should flow across every discipline within our institutions. Then it gets into ethics and responsible use. You're going to see 5 competency statements here. I'm not going to read through all of those, but just to tease off a couple: design and communicate clear AI use expectations in your course. We talk a lot about syllabi statements, right? And clarifying why you are not allowing the use of AI in your course. Back to transparency. Protect self and student data PII. Sarah mentioned this. This is a very one of those foundational competencies that we want to make sure that we're continuing to practice and that we're sharing that with students. They shouldn't be putting PII into these systems as well. Address bias, fairness, and accessibility concerns in AI-imported instructions. We are all in the world of accessibility right now, right? And so we want to make sure that the things that we're doing are accessible to our students in our design. Critical evaluation. Evaluate instructional content, AI-generated instructional content before use. We know you are doing this. We often generate content and it looks nothing at the end result when we get finished with chiseling on it that it looked like in the beginning when we took the output out of AI. It was our springboard. It was the place we started to ideate with the AI tool. So you want to make sure that you're always evaluating that content. Compare AI generated information with disciplinary expertise. This is really, really key. We know that AI models are more than happy to offer us up information, but we always need to be applying our subject matter expertise to those outputs that we're seeing to validate, to make sure that the information is accurate and relevant for our learners. Differentiate between AI-generated synthesis and authoritative disciplinary evidence. So again, we know these models are scraping the web, right? So you may not be inclined to tell your student, hey, go check Wikipedia for that kind of information. Guess what? These models are scraping Wikipedia. So we have to think about that, in that all of the information that's out on the web that these models train on, and some of it's really good, but it may not be something that we have disciplinary evidence backing. So you always, human in the loop, instructor at the center, you are in control of this information that you're sharing with your students. Workforce alignment. So it's really important. We talk a lot about our students being prepared for these in-demand skills that the workforce is asking for. So this is really will help you and guide you. Again, these are foundational. You can take them, edit them, add to them, but it's to get you thinking of how this shows up in your course. So for example, integrate career-aligned AI activities into coursework when appropriate. So I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, oh gosh, this is really general. So how could I do that? So I could copy that competency statement out, plug that into a model, and then modify it so that it has my context of my coursework or a career path that I want to, and then start to ideate with the model to come up with an activity or an assessment for my students. So these are foundational. Remember, you need to supply the context for the AI tool that you are using. Support students in articulating AI, responsible AI use as a career skill. Wow, that's a big one, right? And so students are really learning to communicate to their future employer, hey, I have learned in my college work what ethical and responsible use is and actually looks like. And I bring that to the workforce because we know in our research that this is a skill set that is not taught particularly on the job. They expect workers to come in with these skills. So we should be exposing students in our classrooms and talking about and having these conversations. Let's see, integrate career-aligned activities into coursework. We talked about that. Identify how AI is used within relevant industries or professions. This is an excellent way to introduce AI into your course. This is so great because everybody's coming in as a learner, right? Our team lives in this space every day, but we do not know what all of the AI tools are and how they support industry or how they support learning. There's simply too many. So a great activity is to say, hey, students, if I'm in a gen ed course, it's even more fun because there's all different kinds of career paths. So go down your career path, do some research, find out what type of AI tools are used in your future career. If you are in a discipline, then you're more focused. Then you can send them down a particular career path. But just send them out and say, go find an AI tool that's being used in X career, X industry, bring it back and tell us about it. Tell us about how that industry is using it. That all can be found. That can be found with ideating or brainstorming with AI tools. So that is a little bit about workforce alignment. And then professional growth and leadership. And this is really for you to, again, focus on your your learning in using AI tools. So engage in ongoing learning about AI developments relevant to teaching and discipline. So one of the things that our team does is we'll engage with these tools and we ask the tool to go out and find relevant information for us within what's happening in higher ed. What is the hot topics in March of 2026 in higher ed? And it can go out and find that information and bring it back for you. That can be done within a discipline area. How are faculty out there using AI in college English courses and college biology courses? And it's going to look across the web, right? And bring back use cases that it can find for you. Reflect on instructional practices in response to AI advances. So right now we are disrupted. We all acknowledge that. So we're learning to tweak our instructional practices, to tweak the way we do things in the classroom. And so when you are engaging with these tools, think about and ideate with the tools about, okay, AI has come along. It has disrupted what I do in my course. Brainstorm with me about some ways that I can use AI in my course, but I do not want students over relying on the AI tools. These tools are built to be creative thinkers. That's why you'll often see them when people talk about hallucination. Really early in the beginning, there was a lot of hallucination. That's why, because they are designed to be creative thinkers. We really like that on this team, and particularly me, because sometimes I'm not thinking real creatively, and I'll put in the phrase "think out of the box," or give me some ideas that I might not be thinking of. So you can ideate with these tools on your instructional practices. Then get together with your colleagues and talk about those things. Do they make sense? Is it something you really haven't thought of as a group? Contribute to peer dialogue regarding AI integration. Get together with your colleagues in your department, in your division, within your institution, and talk about how are you using it? Well, this is what I used it for, and it didn't really work out really well, or it worked out great, but I also have questions, I have concerns. One of the things that we want to avoid is faculty interacting with AI tools and not having a positive experience right out of the gate and walking away. And you would not believe how many times we come across that. But we want to make sure that faculty have a place to continually engage in dialogue about these tools. These tools are constantly changing. And so we need to be constantly engaging with them. They're getting better all the time. And by the way, remember, if you're not running your assignments and assessments through, then how are you going to know if a student hands you work that's just generated through the AI? So make sure that you're engaging, you're talking about it, you're thinking about it as a group, and that's what we're here to support you in doing. Model responsible AI experimentation within academic settings. I cannot underscore this enough. Share best practices amongst your peer groups. That's a great thing. We also ask you to do that with us because you are on the front lines. You're in the trenches. You're with the students. You're doing these things. We may try things within our office settings, but until you try it in a classroom, you don't know what's going to happen, right? And so we learn from things that work, from things that don't work, from things that need to be tweaked. And so we're always thinking, engaging, and modeling responsible use. Aligning personal AI development with institutional priorities and workforce trends. So we need to have those checks. So we're always checking to see, hey, what's industry saying? That should be part of your toolkit, something that you go to just as you are experimenting and playing and learning. You need to keep your ear to the ground on what industry is saying. If you think, okay, I really don't have time to keep up with that, please tap into us because that's one of the things that we do in our daily practice. We are keeping our ears to the ground and engaging with the industry to find out where they are, how they're feeling, what they're thinking, what's happening in the next 2 to 5 years as far as hiring, what they're expecting of student skills and competencies, and all of those kinds of things. What are the pay increases that you can get with an AI skill set. And so it's really thinking about what is workforce doing. Also thinking about what our institutional priorities are. Are we really thinking about, hey, we really need to get on this bullet train, is what it feels like, and start to introduce our students and think about these tools. And so all of these things will get you started and thinking about how to grow your own skill set. And again, that is one of the main things that we're here to do for you and support you in. So we know that you're very busy. This is daunting, and we are glad to support you in that step. And I'm going to pause.
Jamie, before you leave, before you
Yes.
get out of here, I wanted to point out to our faculty that if you can pull up the student framework really quickly, I just kind of wanted to show that within the student competency framework, we align it to what Jamie was talking about, the Bloom's taxonomy, and how it maps to basically the keyword, the Bloom's cues, as well as the mapping to the TBR Gen Ed course. So as a faculty, look at your framework and look at the student literacy framework, and it can also kind of, some things there overlap, but you will be able to start to think about how things map in, especially in terms of your assessments, and also how it maps back to Gen Ed course. I just kind of wanted to point that out. Thank you.
Absolutely. And at the end of each one of these frameworks, you'll find links to the resources that we use to develop the framework. So feel free to go to those and have a look at them. There's lots of good information there as well. And you can then compare the conceptual versus the practical application. It's really neat to look at. So again, these are informed by national, international models. And we really leaned on those and leaned into those. And again, they are at the foundational level. So we are excited for you to be able to use these tools to then think about how AI can show up in my course. And I'm going to pass it over to Erin, and she's going to walk us through some demonstration.